sports fans? Westbrook, 4-Star Sports Media. As you see, you are sitting down at the Sports Buffet. It's a 4-star name with 5-star coverage. If you plainly at the top of the screen there, 4-star name with 5-star coverage. I know Blake probably feels really bad. He's stuck between two bald guys tonight, but
I know.
I'm Westbrook on the left. John Sturdivant's the bald guy on the far right over there. Damn, I did not realize we almost look effing alike. Anyway, Blake, what's going on, man?
Oh, not much. Just, SEC Media Day is about to kick off. So to me, that's the unofficial kickoff to the college football season. So, and the college football game comes out this week. So very excited.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to media day. Of course, it's talking season, summer sessions, whatever y'all want to call it. But we don't stop here at 4-Star Sports Media, as you know. But with that, we're going to be getting into some media days tonight, as we talk a little bit of Big 12. And get ready, because speaking to SEC, we're going to be all over it. We'll be live on that Thursday when Sam Pittman uh, takes the portal and takes to the podium and all that as well. So be on the lookout for that as well. But big time show tonight. We're going to talk a little bit of WNBA. Yes, we're going to talk WNBA. I know John's excited up there. We're going to talk a little bit of NBA free agency. We're going to talk Big 12, including a non-con game in the Big 12. And then we will get to MLB as we had 19 first-time All-Star selections announced today. Very interesting things. We're going to get into all of it, but then we'll also specifically talk about two that are going to be ones to watch. John, let's go ahead and start, man. WNBA, Caitlin Clark injured, as we know, right? Has missed, 8, 9 games, 10 games now. The Indiana Fever is, 4-4 without her. That team's shown resilience. They're winning games, but how does this affect the league, John? I start with this question. Is the WNBA in trouble from a optics perspective without Caitlin Clark on the floor?
I don't think they're in trouble at all. The reason I think they're not in trouble at all is because you got other stars on different teams, like Paige Beckers for Dallas Wings for a prime example, Kelsey Plum for the LA Sparks as a prime example, and then of course Angel Reese is still doing Angel Reese things, and for Chicago Sky, and then Haley Van Leaf, who we talked about last year during the tournament run with TCU, is bringing people in the seats as well. I know Haley Van Leaf ain't averaging like 20 plus points a game right now, but I feel like this WNBA season is bringing you back to the old days where we saw like a Becky Heyman, Cyril Swoops, just to name those type of few players. It brings me back to those memories from the early 2000s and the mid 2000s as well, where you had those stars like you did now.
Yeah, Blake, when you look at, to John's point, when you look at Caitlin Clark, you look talk about popularity, he talks about a lot of other players. Clark was named the ninth best guard in the league, but she had a record breaking 1.3 million fan votes for the All Star game. Is there a
Yeah,
little bit of jealousy involved in all this, Caitlin Clark?
yeah, I think so because a lot of if you if you if you watch the league, you'll see Caitlin Clark's kind of officiated differently. They're the players kind of get after her just a little bit rough with her, which I think is how you need to play Caitlin Clark is to play her tough. But yeah, I do think there's a little jealousy factor there, and because a lot of players are friends with Angel Reese, and there's Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark. I don't know what you want to call it, a competition, whatever you want to call it, but there's it's Kate. I mean, Caitlin has changed the WNBA, but a lot of players feel slighted because of that.
Well, John, we're going to have this question posted on over on X at 4-Star Sports M, by the way. But the question is this, John, as we close out WNBA and transition over to NBA, can the Fever make the playoffs without Clark playing full strength?
I'll say yeah, they already have because they already won the Commissioner's Cup without her. The key player in all this for without Caitlin Clark right now, I think, is Boston. Their big post player down low. If she can still average a double double like she has been the last couple ball games for Indiana, I think they can get over that hump. But I want to ask y'all this though, since we are talking a little bit of WNBA too, though. But we saw those three teams get are going to be expanding, in Cleveland, Detroit, and others. Are y'all surprised we don't see a Southeastern team since we all live in the South? I'm surprised there's not going to be one in Nashville or maybe even in Little Rock per se as well, because we know the state of Arkansas is good for talent. We know the state of Tennessee is good for talent. So why not put a team in the Southeast? What's y'all's thoughts on that?
Yeah,
I
I
don't see them
would.
coming. Well, I mean, I
I
don't see them
would.
coming to
Yeah.
Little Rock.
No, not Little Rock.
No, not Little Rock, not Pine Bluff. I, you know what? This is going to sound surprising to many. I think this is where a revamped, and it's not going to be popular in this state, but I think this is where you see a revamped Bud Walton Arena have an opportunity to host maybe a team like that. I mean, I know there's what 16, 18,000. How
Hmm.
many seats are in that stadium? 16, 18,000.
Yeah. Hmm.
That's equivalent to the FedEx Forum now.
Hmm.
You're in the same ballpark. I think Northwest Arkansas, Fayetteville, you're close to Tulsa. Your Oklahoma City's right down the road. I think Northwest Arkansas, and I don't sleep on the reason that a vision down the road for why they're going in and doing renovations could very well be for something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say I think the W dropped the ball because you look at the SEC conference and women's basketball, it's dominating. So in order to keep those fans, you kind of need a team in the Southeast region. Uh,
And I thought Bridgestone Arena would be a good fit for it too,
yeah.
because I know there are schedule conflicts, with NHL concerts, and etc. Maybe that's a factor. But if they can average it 16,000 for an NHL game week in week out or day in day out, you can bring 12 to 14,000 for a WNBA team in Nashville. Nashville loves their sports, whether it's minor league
Yeah.
baseball, hockey. Think
Yeah.
about it. It's the
Kansas
volunteer.
City.
Yeah. So why not put a team in Nashville? I know Tyler Summit and the Summit crew were definitely pushing it this time around once again.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. It's a very good point. The opening segment of the show is brought to you by SeatGeek, powered by SeatGeek. Head over to SeatGeek now. Uh, Four Star Sports Media gives you a promo code, and what that promo code is, it is right there on your screen now. It is Four Star Sports Media. Head over there now. SeatGeek is the nation's leading platform for all ticket purchasing, whether that's concerts, sporting events. Hey, someone could have used it and seen Ozzy Osbourne in his most recent concert, which was his last one, where he literally was sitting on a bat shaped throne. So sad to watch Ozzy go out that way. But anyway, um, head over to SeatGeek now. Find you any ticket, $50 or more. Enter the promo code; it'll save you $20 off that ticket purchase. John, speaking of tickets, what's your thoughts on DeAndre Ayton signing a 2-year deal with the Lakers? Where I mean, hey, the man was called out for being tardy, called out for quote tantrums and other things while he was in Portland. Speaking of tickets, how many asses does that put in the seat out in LA?
Well, heck, they already sell out every night because of LeBron. So, uh, DeAndre
Such
Ayton
a
going to Lakers is really not a surprise. Lakers need another big man to accommodate with LeBron and Dalton Connect and a few others. So to see him go to Lakers is not really a surprise. I'm kind of surprised he didn't really go to another team like a Memphis Grizzly team, although the Grizzlies don't have another big man, which we'll talk about here in a minute. My disappointment right now in free agency is the Grizzlies. So, yeah, we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, him going to Lakers is not really a surprise to me at all because I feel like he wants to win now and get that ring with LeBron before LeBron officially puts it the rest next couple of years.
My question is this for this entire free agency. Okay, so you've got the Bucks making some really risky moves. So you let Damian Lillard walk. You waive Lillard. Giannis is up in the air. Then you turn around and you go get Miles Turner. This is where my question goes. Why is Miles Turner leaving the Pacers? I understand Halliburton, Hallie is out with the torn Achilles. I want to talk about that for a split second if we can. I made a comment a couple weeks ago. Didn't see a lot of guys tearing Achilles in those busted ass Converse back in the day. How long is the list, guys, of guys with Achilles injuries in the NBA right now? I think the list yearly is getting longer and longer and longer. Um, it's something we need to start. I don't understand why we haven't already taken a look at it, but it's something we got to start looking at. But when you look at the free agency, Miles Turner going to Milwaukee, I didn't understand that move. Of course, I'm not making the millions of dollars of Miles is either, but I didn't understand that move. You walk away from a team that was how close to an NBA Finals, Blake?
One injury away from winning it. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if Halliburton did not get injured, I think the Pacers would or should have probably won.
I agree. I agree completely. What's your thoughts on Miles Turner? And then when you look at it from the other side of things, um, what about the decision to let Lillard go? I feel like that could really haunt them in a way.
Yeah, with Turner leaving, I'm sure it's all about the money, but usually, the Pacers are a small market team. Usually, you want to go to a bigger market, but to me, it's kind of a lateral move there between the markets. So, I mean, I would just assume it's the money because honestly, the Bucks right now are not the better team. They got all kinds of issues going on. They haven't been right since they won the championship. So, but I don't know. I like I said, money talks.
This is very true. This is very true. Um, Speaking of money talking, John, let's jump over to the Big 12 as we've got the upcoming media days right around the corner. And when you look at the Big 12, John,
But hang on one second, real quick. Sorry. Yeah, ask
okay,
y'all
go ahead.
regarding free agency, real quick. How do you think if Luke Kennard can stay healthy, how well do you think he can match up with Trey Young in Atlanta?
I like the move by Atlanta. Um, I think it takes a little bit of pressure off Trey Young, to be honest with you. Um, I, I was a big fan of it. I mean, he's a shooter. The guy's a damn sniper.
What about you, Blake?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Trey's a superstar, but I don't think he can handle everything that Atlanta is putting on him. So it's nice, it's nice to get a partner in there, partner in crime to help build up to that championship.
And if I'm young, I mean, that gives me all the confidence in the world
Mhm.
that Atlanta went out and found a piece that can be beneficial alongside. Plus, I mean, it's not to say they're not going to do other, make other moves along the way.
Any words for the Knicks hire?
I mean, I don't mind. I like Mike Brown, to be honest with you. I think when you look at Mike Brown, I think he's a good basketball coach. Um, I would have loved to have seen Don Staley go to the New York Knicks, and I know that's weird. People laugh. Oh, they're only doing that because blah blah blah. No, I think there was legitimate interest there, and I think there should have been. Don Staley is one hell of a basketball coach. Moreover, she's a even better motivator to compete at a high level, and I honestly believe at some point in time she will be either in the WNBA or in the NBA.
I agree with you on Don Stanley. I think she'll probably be the head coach of one of the new WNBA teams in these upcoming years. Look at Becky Hammond, prime example of Becky Hammond. She learned under Pop in the San Antonio Spurs. She's done pretty well in Las Vegas. So I can definitely see Don Stanley being the head coach in the WNBA next 2 years.
Completely agree. All right, John. Let's jump over to my bad. Let's jump over to the Big 12 real quick. Um, Oh, all right. Let's jump over to the Big 12. So it's a conference that, I mean, I'm going to start calling this the Arizona State rule. Um, what's your thoughts, John? I'll start with you. So it was announced via the Big 12 that they would no longer do their preseason poll. So us here at Four Star Sports Media, don't fret, folks. We got you covered. Like I said, 4-star name and 5-star coverage. Um, it's not a hot take poll either. It's a legitimate. We're creating a preseason poll here. How we think these teams are going to finish at the end of the year. But with that being said, John, what's your thoughts on the Big 12 getting rid of their preseason media poll?
A little disappointing, but I think I understand the reason behind it. I just think this day and age, a lot of people just give it for granted and they don't get enough attention from it these days. But I think I understand it because I want the players to enjoy media, but also I feel like it might be a little bit more pressure for these coaches and players too. Because as we've seen the last couple of years, these coaches that are on the hot seat are still a little bit warm on their hot seat and then a little bit cooled off on the hot seat over the last couple of years. Dave Miranda, prime example at Baylor,
We're
uh,
going to about him.
which a lot of people have Baylor winning the Big 12 this year, just because all the offensive players they got coming back. But I think it's okay for them to get rid of it.
Blake, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of times it's just some sports information directors just sending in some crap, and it's just. I mean, it's good for us to talk about it, but in the long run, it means absolutely nothing. So I mean, it's fine that they got rid of it.
Okay, all right. So, like I said, we're gonna give our own. So, John, I'll start with you, and you don't have to give reasoning as to why. Just simple list. Give me your. We'll start at the. I'll tell you what. Let's start at the bottom, John, and work our way up.
Well, let me first say this about the Big 12. The Big 12 conference as a whole, I think this season is really up for grabs. The reason I say that is because a lot of teams either have a first year coach or they have a second or third year coach that they're still getting used to. And I feel like this Big 12 season is definitely going to be fun to watch in general. Let me just say that. My one game is the UCF at Kansas State game on September 27th. The reason behind it is Scott Frost goes to Manhattan. Right before that, they played North Carolina and Coach Brown, and then they play at Oklahoma State, and then come for Kansas, and then at Cincinnati. Those games right after that. So a key game for UCF at Kansas State right there to start off September 27th. What's y'all's thoughts on that one?
Go ahead, Blake.
Yeah, I mean Kansas. I mean, I think Kansas State. I mean, like I said, every team has a chance to win. This is, I think, last year and the year before. This is a wide open conference. It's going to be the least talked about conference just because of the teams in it. But I mean, you still have star power in there. You still got Deion Sanders. You still got Nebraska. He's a national powerhouse. Like however many sellouts they have and whatnot. Then you have Oklahoma State, who Gundy's either going to win 10 games or 4 games. I mean, it's kind of how he is. But yeah, Kansas State, I think could if everything goes right, and depending on injuries and all that, they could win the conference. But you also have Arizona State in there too, who's a few plays away from potentially playing a national championship.
All right, John. What's your list?
That was one of my games, and then the next game will be Cincinnati at Oklahoma State. The reason behind it is this going to be a teams that are fighting for bowl eligibility on October 18th. It's toward the end of the year for a reason that match up, and I think it's going to be deciding who gets 6 or 7 wins or even 8 wins this year in general because I feel like this is the year that Cincinnati is going to be an improved bunch. They didn't go bowling last year. They finished the year 5-7. But at key games in that stretch, like we talked about, October 4th, Iowa State, October 11th, UCF, and then they played that game in Stillwater before hosting Baylor. So a key game on the road for the Bearcats if they want to get over that hump this year. Another game, BYU at Colorado. Because me and you have talked about this, Wes. East Carolina road game, and then you go to at Colorado, two hostile environments back to back. And then you're coming off a bye week right after that. So key game for BYU at Colorado for the BYU Cougars if they want to have any shot at winning the Big 12 this year.
All right. So what's your Big 12 poll?
Like, what do you mean by poll? Like,
What do you
Your
mean?
time.
Like, how
Who?
do you it
Yeah.
like 1 through 16? How do you see the conference finishing out?
I'm not going to say that till Tuesday or Wednesday. But right now, I can see some teams that some teams that finish last. Like some people are picking West Virginia to finish last. I don't see them finishing last at all. So I think West Virginia is a scary team to still look out for because of Rich Rodriguez.
Okay. All right. So Blake, we'll go to you.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we won't go. I think we just lost. No, I don't know. Blake went
Yeah.
black.
Oh, there we are.
Uh,
There we go.
there it is. So Blake, all right, we'll just do this. Give me your 3 games, and then give me like John just did. Give me a team that you can't sleep on. We'll just do that. Go ahead.
All right. Hold on. Let me. I might go black again, but oh,
Did you hear your bill?
there we go. There it is. All right. All right. There. Arizona State and Baylor is my first game. Arizona State, is probably going to be, if there was a poll, as Jonathan's going to reveal the official poll on Tuesday. But if there was a poll, Arizona State probably would be number one, and Baylor maybe in that top five area, maybe top six area. I mean, it just depends. That's going to be a pivotal game for Baylor to see if they're actually the real deal or if they're just all talk. So that's my first one. Let me go to my second one. All right, next is the multimillionaires at Texas Tech against Arizona State. Arkansas they beat a somewhat Texas Tech team in the at Memphis during the bowl game. But I say that because a lot of Texas Tech players were not available. They were transferring or declaring for the draft and whatnot. But it is a very, I think, improved Texas Tech team. Now we're going to see if the NIL is actually worth anything. Like if you can just go out and buy your players, if it's worth anything. That's what Texas Tech is doing. So, and we'll see about Arizona State. They're just a flash in the pan, or if they're actually the real deal. You gotta replace Scooby Doo, as Sturtevant would call him. You know, and it's
That
kind
is
of
John's boy right there, man. That is John's guy. Go ahead.
so. But yeah, I just I'm very high on Baylor. I believe in Dave Aranda down there. I got a good friend. He teaches his kids up there at Waco. So I'm glad Baylor didn't decide to fire him and move on because I mean, if you look at Ed's record, he could have, but uh, and then my last game is Iowa State and Kansas State. That's going to be again with Iowa State, them and Oklahoma State kind of remind me a lot of each other. They're going to be really good or not so good. So that's my 3 games. But I'm very high on Arizona State. Oklahoma State, if you're a betting person, I think their over under is either 6.5 wins or 5.5 wins. I would hop up on the over on that because I don't. Gundy had a bad year last year, but I don't think it continues.
I agree on Oklahoma State. I mean, when you look at Mike Gundy, he had never lost more than three Big 12 games in 19
Hmm.
seasons.
Yep.
It was an anomaly, but at the same time, it was bound to happen.
Yeah.
Especially with all the changes that we've seen, it was bound to
Hmm.
happen. So Oklahoma State is your sleeper team.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay. Um, I like your Baylor pick. Phil Steele also is a big fan of Baylor this year, rightfully so. He's also a big fan of Kyle Whittingham and the Utah Utes. When you look across the country, you look at coaches that have been at programs for seemingly ages. Kyle Whittingham has been at Utah for a long time, as well as like Kirk Ferentz at Iowa, for example, right? Like Kirk's been there 27 years, and I'm pretty sure Kyle's been there. This is like year
No.
23, 24, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. He's the longest tenured coach, like in Power Five, Power Four, whatever it is. Um.
Whittingham has been there 20. This is his 22nd year.
Yeah.
Um, it's incredible what he's done. But last season, 5-7, that's not Utah football. Let's just be honest. It's not Utah football, and I don't think it lasts. Um, and I think it starts September 20th when Utah takes on Oklahoma. Non-con game, baby, non-con. Um, big time out of conference class because let's not forget who I think is a Heisman sleeper, and I'm gonna slide a little over under a little dollar or two on him for a Heisman winner, and that's Mateer, the Oklahoma quarterback. That young man is extremely talented, and as I know, there's not a lot of people out there in the SEC that really have respect for Oklahoma. I get it, right? I understand that, but you got to respect Mateer. He can sling it, and I think this is going to be a much improved Oklahoma team taking on Utah. Utah is big time defensively. They're stout. They can play. But what they've also got is they've got quarterback that can play. Devon Dampier can sling the football, folks. Don't sleep on Utah. That's going to be a hell of a game. That's game one for me. Game two is Kansas State, Oklahoma State. Blake just talked about
Hmm.
both these teams. When you
Hmm.
look October 11th, this game's over in Stillwater. If I'm off, I may slide over there. That will be a really fun game to go to. Pivotal Big 12 matchup. Two also title contenders. I know that sounds crazy coming off what happened last year, but you can't sleep on Oklahoma State. Mike Gundy's going to get this thing back together. The winner of this game takes a big step towards a Big 12 championship and potentially a college football playoff berth. Game three is one that I can't wait for. We've talked about Texas Tech. John and I talked about it a couple weeks ago. With the way college football is built now, you look at the millions and millions and millions of dollars being pumped into Texas Tech. John and I talked about it off air earlier. They may not be good right now. They may not be excellent maybe next year. But when you look at in the long run, in the longevity of things, don't sleep on Texas Tech as a university. All programs on campus cannot sleep on the Red Raiders. There's not a lot in Lubbock, Texas, but on November 8th, the Colorado Buffaloes are going to be there. And this is going to be a key matchup because it's going to be a little bit later in the season. How will the Buffaloes play? How will Deion Sanders? What will the quarterback play look like? Jason and I talked about this a little bit ago. A win in this game could potentially keep Colorado in a Big 12 race, similar to the way they were last year. A win by Texas Tech could potentially boost them to the championship. It's going to be a challenge, though, because there's a lot of really good teams in the Big 12. John, I close the Big 12 portion with this question. Could the Big 12 secure multiple college football playoff spots?
I think so. I'll say at least two. I'm going to give you a dark horse team. Iowa State, Matt Campbell.
1,000% agree. One
Uh,
thousand percent.
Matt Campbell, because the first game,
Look at John just gonna take my sleeper. I wasn't even there, and John is
Iowa
going.
State, Matt Campbell, he's been there 10
He's
years,
still
right?
good. Yes.
So the first game is in Dublin, week 0, guys. Kansas State, can't wait for that one at 11 a.m. on ESPN.
Yeah, you gotta watch those 11 a.m. Night, or early morning night kickoffs. Those will get
Right.
your ass, especially in Dublin. Oh man, you gotta watch those.
But yeah, we talked about Iowa State because I think they can make some noise because their first 4 games are technically one is the neutral site, which is in Dublin, South Dakota, and then Iowa at home. Another key game though, non-con at Arkansas State.
Are you
Uh,
looking at my notes?
no,
Ooh.
but I'm just saying though, bro. Matt Cable, he signed that contract extension in 2024 till 2031 for a reason. So Matt Cable very well could be in that Big 12 championship game and maybe make some noise for that playoff spot.
Oh my goodness! All right, so yes, Iowa State is the team that I you can't sleep on, and one of the many reasons that I think that is what Sturdivant just blabbered all across air. But the other thing is this, folks. Let's not forget last year, 10-2, lost the Big 12 title game, beat Miami in the bowl game. That was the first double win season in their 133-year history. Plus, you get my boy Rocco back. Rocco Beck is back. Beck is back. Back, whatever. Back is back. That kid's legit. He can play. He can sling it. This Iowa State team is going to be a lot of fun to watch. A lot of fun to watch. Thank you, John, for doing that. All right, so I'll tell you what, we're going to change it up here. So, John, this question is also going to be posted on X and social media. My question is this, John: can Deion Sanders lead the Buffaloes? And this question is for all of us. Roundtable. Can Deion Sanders lead Colorado to a Big 12 title in 2025, John?
Heck no. He won't have it. I don't think he'll have the talent on the offense side of football like he did with Shadir at quarterback and other. The reason I'm saying that, man, where's the running game the last 2 years at Colorado?
It's
If you
been
don't have
almost non.
if you don't have an O line that blocks for the running game, you won't get too far.
That's going to be a clip. I like that. I like that right there. That's a good clip. I got to remember where that is. But Blake, what's your thoughts, man? I mean, look, I'll eat crow. Y'all know me. I don't care. I'll eat pretty much anything as long as you put pepper and barbecue sauce. It's gotta be Memphis style though. None of that North Carolina watery bullshit. Blake, when you look at, we've been pretty. I don't want to say, yeah, critical, I guess, of Deion Sanders, but there's been reason to back it up, right? We're not just being critical to be critical.
Yep.
When you look at Deion Sanders, I think this is his most important season he's had as a head coach. Because to
Yeah.
me, this is going to answer every question that I've had about him, which is can he do it without his guys? Now we
Yep.
find out.
Yes. And I don't even see them making a bowl game. It's just
Wow.
like
Seven,
it's
John?
6-6 maybe if he's lucky.
yeah.
A three, more than a three-loss drop in a season?
Very well taught. Hey, how many returning starters on offense does he have?
I mean, it's like five or something.
Three.
Three. Yeah,
I mean,
not many.
you 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 lose a talent like Travis Hunter, and it's tough to. I mean, obviously he played both sides of the ball, but just look around the conference. Every team has probably gotten better. Colorado probably stayed the same, if not got worse. That's why I see a 3 game drop.
I think the road games are tough for him. At
Very,
TCU,
very tough.
at West Virginia, at Kansas State, and at Houston. Willie Fritz.
And where else? Where else did they go? I swear I just said it. Where else did they go?
Houston.
No, no. I swear, didn't I say Lubbock, Texas earlier?
Well, Houston, Texas Tech, right? So yeah, those are tough. Another
Brutal.
another key game though, first game of the year, bro. If you don't win that game in Boulder, where Georgia Tech is an improved bunch,
Mhm.
a lot of people are gonna be like, okay, Dion, we're gonna find another win other than that Delaware game on that schedule.
And you got to take into account Dion's health. He had to take some time off in this off season, take care of some health issues. So those health issues could come back up, and you know who you going to turn to? Warren Sapp. I
He's
mean, I
he's
don't.
he's hiring his friends on staff, aka another coach I know.
Yep, Marshall.
Jesus, John. All right. Speaking of people that we know, let's go ahead and jump over to the MLB. We'll start. We'll look. We'll start with the broad, and then we'll hone ourselves in. Okay. So the MLB All-Star rosters were announced today, full rosters, but obviously it includes Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani. I'm not betting on it. I don't think he is either. Juan Soto. Um, But John, we saw, like I said earlier, 19 first-time All-Stars, one of which, or two of which, but we'll start with the Chicago White Sox, John. Shane Smith, rookie, became only the second player to ever be drafted in the Rule 5 draft and make the MLB All-Star game the following year. The other player to do that, former Memphis Tiger and Miami Marlin Dan Uggla, who was drafted in 2005 and made the All Star game in 2006. Dan's a hell of a dude. Um, always has been, always will be. Dan's a great guy. Matter of fact, I think I have his cell phone number. I need to call Dan. But you saw Smith become the first White Sox rookie pitcher to ever do it, and only the seventh rookie in White Sox history to make the All Star game. John, I lead off with this 19 fresh faces in this game. I think it's great for the future of the sport. What's your thoughts on a youth movement in the All Star game?
I like it. You brought up Shane already. What about Chris Bubik from the Kansas City organization? Man, like he earns it the way he's been producing this year. I know the Royals hasn't been producing lately, but just to name him for an example, also that he's been shining pretty good. I think the young talent that we got on pitching in this All Star game and on especially on the American League side is pretty stout.
This is true. This is true. Blake, when you look at the All Stars, obviously, like I said, you're going to have the big names, right? When it comes to the home run derby, do we see the Judge, the Otanis? I think we see Hunter Goodman, to be honest with you. And we're going to talk about Hunter in a minute. But do you see a mix of young and old with this home run derby?
I just I just think you see a bunch of the young guys out there. I don't think the older guys. I mean, it's if you look at the stats after the home run derby, and if you win it, you kind of fall off a little bit. So I feel like they're gonna save it for those young guys out there who maybe can recover a little bit better after the home run derby. But I wish Otani, I wish Judge would do it because it's that point of the year where there's not much sports going on. All eyes would be on the home run derby and then the All Star game. So I wish they would do it, but I don't think they will.
I mean, they're not as old as you think, guys. He's only one of them's only 32 years old.
I'm 30. Listen, I'm 33. I couldn't go out there and swing it 50 times.
Hey, Vlad Guerrero Jr. would still be fun to watch in the home run derby. And I
Oh
also
yeah,
think,
no. I mean,
yeah,
my like I look at the home run derby a little bit like I do the NBA dunk contest. I don't mind seeing the youth because that shows me the future of the league. But I do want to see the guys that are not, and it doesn't have to be all of them, but I want to see some of the guys that are known for power. I want to see Aaron Judge. I don't care if he wins it or not. Just go swing the bat. Okay, so if you hit five, who gives a crap, right? It's All Star Week. Who cares? But to both of your points, honestly, I think a mixture would be nice to see. John, let's talk about Goodman real quick, man. We got an article out over at fourstar.live now. The catcher has been, I mean, the young man's been tearing it up. You can head over to Four Star Live now, but for more deeper insight into Goodman. But 25 years old, John, former Arlington Tiger there in Memphis, Tennessee, former Memphis Tiger as well. His rise in the MLB has been a story that has been beautiful to watch, as well as Shane Smith. Not taking anything away from Smith either. But when you look at Colorado, there's not a lot of real bright spots with this team. I think he's a very key part to the rebuild of this roster. 16 home runs, 50 RBIs. He's the first Rocky to have 50 or more RBIs at the All-Star break since a couple of guys did it in 2003. But John Goodman, he's got power, he's got versatility, but can he sustain it?
as long as he stays healthy, he's been battling, that hamstring over the last couple of weeks or so, and he just came back from that hamstring injury. As long as he can have a manager that I know they got the interim plug right now. As long as these managers give him, long as he stays hot, gives you like 2 hits here and there every game, instead of sitting like we talked about last year, where he stays hot for like 4 games in a row, and then he sits like 2 games. I think if he stays consistent in that lineup, which he is right now playing catcher, I think Hunter Goodman will definitely be not only a Rocky maybe in the next 4 or 5 years, but I want to be surprised if we see another team that's bigger than the Rockies. Not saying the Yankees or the Dodgers or somebody like that. Maybe like a St. Louis Cardinal team or Atlanta Brave team or somebody like that might be glad to pick him up in a trade because the way the Rockies organization is the last couple of years, let's be real, man, they give away young talent year in, year out. So we just hope Hunter can stay in Denver, Colorado a little bit longer.
Yeah, and you look at the Rockies, and a lot of people equate it to pitching. When you look at the Rockies starting rotation, I believe every single one of their starters has an ERA plus of 5. You That's not a recipe for successful baseball, right? No matter what level. I don't care if it could be coach pitch, and if the coach is averaging 4 runs every time he gets out there and pitches, that coach is not good. You know what I mean? Like it's just not good numbers. But it goes deeper than that. To John's point, it goes deeper than that with the Rockies. They've made some managerial changes. They've made some changes structurally. Um, I've talked with a guy that's involved with the Rockies. I won't say his name, but he's involved with the Rockies, and we've talked. And they're working, like they're continuously working to try to get back to the days of Todd Helton, right? It's weird to look at, there's been seasons of the Rockies that you're like, wow, you almost kind of forget about them, right? I think that's what this is. Like when you hear Hunter Goodman, Colorado Rockies, you're like, damn, the the Rockies have only won 28 games this year. How do they have an all-star? Then you go look at the numbers. Very similar to the White Sox. Who? Shane Smith. He's a pitcher for the White Sox. Then you go look at the numbers. And you're like, oh, okay, he's good. Blake, John, do you have anything else?
Now I was gonna say, well, I think what hurts the Rockies, they got so much good in spring training over the last couple of years. I just feel like they kind of don't know what to do with their AAA and Major League Baseball talent
Yeah.
because in years past they were part of the Colorado Sky Sox organization as well. So when now they get the Colorado Springs Sky Sox, I mean, so when you got a team in Albuquerque now, as a AAA affiliate, I think it's just
I told you.
yeah, the way they shake it up these days, where teams go from one team to another team, you got to remember that goes in play as well. So, what I want to know about the Rockies, though, like Chris Bryant's been on the injury shelf for the last 5 or 6 years for the Rockies. When are you going to eventually give up Chris Bryant and bring in some young talent from another organization to rebuild this Rockies team, like you brought up, through the Todd Helton days and the Vinny Castilla days, just to name them two? So Chris Bryant's another player to be on the lookout for on the trade market if I'm the Rockies.
Yeah, I agree. And I think even with him being injured like he has, I think there's still value to the name of Chris Bryant. That name still puts people in the seats at the end of the day. I would go watch a team that had a Chris Bryant on it with the hopes he may play. But Blake, I'll close with the final Twitter question of the night. And by the way, we're going to have all these questions posted on X. This is actually a new thing we're starting. We're going to have a Twitter question for each segment, basically. So my Twitter question is this: are Hunter Goodman and Shane Smith the future of the Major League Baseball, or are they just one hit wonders?
I think it's a little. I don't think they're one hit wonders, but I think in order to be the face of baseball, you got to play for those big market teams. Like your Los Angeles teams or your Yankees, Red Sox. I just think being stuck in Colorado and being stuck in Chicago. I mean, Chicago's a big market, but a lot of people follow the Cubs, not the White Sox. But I think I don't think they're a one hit wonder, but I also don't think they could be the face of the league, but they got to go to a different organization.
John, what's your thoughts?
I kind of agree with Blake in a way, but also another player, Jacob Wilson from Oakland or Sacramento now. He's an upcoming. I know he's a rookie this year. He's an upcoming star for a terrible organization right now. They don't even have a home field until another year in Vegas. So I don't think it's a no one hit wonder. I think it's just that they're just in a bad spot right now because one, the attendance ain't the same, two, the managers aren't the same, and then three, these other players around them aren't the same. Like you brought up the RA with the Rockies. Think about it. Brent Rooker's going through the same thing right now with Oakland and Sacramento. But Rooker agreed to sign that contract extension with that team for a reason. So something's got to be going on in Sacramento that we don't know about with the A's. But
It's a
my
good
question
point, man.
for the All-Star game, guys, like who's y'all's biggest snub that did not get selected in this All-Star game? Who are y'all not surprised that did not get selected?
I was not prepared for this question. I have no idea.
Sorry, I was looking at who just got snubbed on my Twitter feed, and I'm a little bit
Oh
surprised by
well,
it.
Hagen Smith.
He's not even the major league yet,
I
bro.
know. Um, let me think.
Come on, he just signed that $300 million deal with the Mets. Come on, guys.
Oh, Juan Soto.
He's one of the snubs that did not get selected in this All-Star game.
Hmm.
Another player, I'm telling you straight up, George
He
Springer from the
finished
Blue Jays.
fifth. He finished fifth in fan voting for National League outfield.
Crazy. George Springer from the Blue Jays, what I'm kind of surprised about. And that guy that's got like 70 plus RBIs right now, who's playing for the Cubs, Suzuki, he did not get selected either. So I think this All Star game is going to be fun to watch in general because you got Kershaw. Congrats to Kershaw, by the way, on that 30,000 strikeouts or whatever it was.
3,000.
30,
God
Oh,
bless
30.
America.
oh, okay, it was
Damn.
Not,
3,000, but it's only
God dang.
30,000.
That son of a bitch ain't gonna have a
30,000.
farm.
It felt like
30,000.
30,000. I meant 3,000, but it felt like
3,000.
30,000.
3,000.
But future
Holy.
Hall of Famer and Kershaw too. If Kershaw can stay healthy, man, those Dodgers can win the World Series this year. If Kershaw can stay healthy.
And I also thought it was really cool to see Rob Manfred, a guy that gets a lot of slack. A lot of folks hate that guy. But he named Kershaw the legend for the game. I think that's a great just honor for Kershaw. But instead of speaking of great, it's been a great show. From Caitlin Clark's injury challenges to the NBA free agency, Big 12 and battles both in and out of conference. MLB's rising stars. We've really talked it all, or as we like to say here at Four Star Sports Media on the Sports Buffet. We got a plate full, right, John?
I wish the All-Star game would count though.
It should, and that's where we close. Um, when you look at the questions that we've asked tonight, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna get them posted over on X. If you're watching, listening, feel free to answer the questions, retweet them. We put a poll out recently, and with it being just past 4th of July, I want to ask you guys. So the poll question was, with 4th of July upcoming, do you think Sam Pittman will be able to get up on skis behind a boat? If you look at the Twitter poll results, hang on one second. Let me get over to
I
it.
voted yes. Let me just say that.
Let's see.
Blake's like no comment.
There we go. All right, so 60% voted no, 40% voted yes. So,
I mean,
Blake, I'll ask you two questions as we close the show. How would you have voted? And then do you think it happened?
I would have voted no. Do I think it happened? I mean, if something crazy like that happens, I'm sure somebody would have took their phone out and recorded it. But
Oh,
no.
oh,
But
there's video. No, okay.
but I will say, out of all the 16 coaches in the SEC, he would be the one I want to hang out with on the 4th of July on Lake Hamilton. Just you know,
Cold beer
I don't
with
want I don't
on the
want to hang
grill.
out with Kirby Smart or drink with. No, give me Sam Pittman on 4th of July.
Him having
I
a
don't know,
cold
man.
beer.
I think Lane Kiffin would be a lot of fun to hang out with on 4th of
Oh
July.
yeah, yeah.
I bet they have a lot of fun down there in Oxford. John, what's your
Hmm.
thoughts on Sam Pittman and skiing?
Well, like I said, I voted yes because I thought he would have a cold beer in his hand on those ski.
That's
So
a good point. So, do you
that's
think he actually like say he attempted it? So you believe he got up?
I think he at least tried, but he was too drunk to get on.
I didn't ask that the man try. I said that the man get up on the skis.
That's what I'm
I
saying. He tried is the
I
key word.
believe, yeah. I mean, I believe he has gotten up on skis in the past. I do not think that he did it this year, especially with a new hip. Come on now, you're
Yeah.
testing stuff way too much. Let's calm down.
Hmm.
Let's get ready for a really tough season for Arkansas.
That
But
four
no,
game
good
stretch,
show,
bro.
man. What?
That 4 game stretch.
Yep.
What
Yep.
the first four?
No, surely y'all can beat Alabama or whatever, right? Come on.
Yeah, Alabama. Yeah,
He said the
but
first four.
I
Hey, man,
mean,
that
Brick by
Battle of Arkansas and Little Rock is going to be game day worthy. I don't know
brick,
why you're playing.
brick by brick.
Brick by brick, Butch Jones is coming in to take on the Arkansas
he is.
Razorbacks. We appreciate everyone watching, listening as always. We appreciate Athletic Brewing Company, the nation's leading non-alcoholic brewing brand. Get over to Athletic Brewing now, athleticbrewingcompany.com/4star sports. And the closing has been powered by Sportsbox Company. If you are a parent or aunt or uncle or something, anybody that you know that has kids that play sports, head over to Sportbox Code now. When you do, there's individualized boxes, basketball, football, baseball, hockey, lacrosse, volleyball, and more. Head over there now, for sportsboxcode.com/4star sports for more information. And it's incredible stuff that'll keep your kids smiling, looking good, playing good, while you get to sit on the sidelines and relax. So it's a win-win for everyone involved. But for everyone watching and listening, we appreciate it. As always, folks, get up, be kind, and stay classy.